Pardon me. Board games, board games is
Board
what we're
games.
talking about. Board
About.
games, board games. I'm not gonna shout.
Gonna shout.
I am starting off this morning with a little bit of singing. And here, to this side of me, is the person known as LolV. And we are going to talk about ludothèques in France. Ludothèques are not a place where you go to dance. They are a place where you go to borrow board games. They are a place in France, and ludothèque is their names. Boards games, boards games. I'm not gonna shout.
That's what you're
Boards
talking
games,
about.
boards games. It's what we're talking about.
Talking about, yes.
Ah, good morning, and yeah, it's lovely to have you, Lolvi, and it's lovely to see you in a manner of
Hi,
speaking of seat.
Will.
And yeah, this is all true. And good morning, Alan Outson. It is lovely to see you. So if I do my wee thing, I am Bez. It is depending on where you are and how you eat food. It is, let's say, brunch time. And so we are going to be blethering about board games. So this is the Bezzy Brunchy board game blether. And today, Lolvi is going to talk about ludothèques. Now, as always, we're going to start off with our brilliant things, brilliant things.
Brilliant
Here's a
things.
little thing which is brilliant.
Brilliant.
Um,
I love the singing so much.
oh,
This is the thing I'm looking the most forward to the show is you singing. So
oh.
sorry.
Thank you very
Oh.
much. You know what? Let's call singing a brilliant thing because
Yes.
I think that yeah, there's something joyous about no matter how you're feeling when you're kind of we've got long-term emotions. Do you know what I mean? And then short-term
Yes.
emotions. And last night, for example, so yeah, honestly, I'm not feeling amazing right now. I'm just going to say it. And last night, I, well, this is going to go into the daily highlights, but last night I was watching Dave Gorman. Do you know Dave Gorman?
No, I don't think so.
So Dave Gorman is one thing that person who's managed to make me laugh. They basically are a little bit pedantic. They're my style of humor. They are yeah, making fun of the crazy things going on in the world and having a joke at other people, but not in a mean sense, just to say, hey, these people who are basically spamming people and trying to get money from them, isn't this totally ridiculous? And having crazy adventures where they go and try to trace down people who are using their fake, you know, who are using Dave Gorman's photo, and there's all sorts of funny things. And yeah, in that moment we laugh, and um, when we are singing, just having that moment of being in the moment and following the words, following the rhythm, following the melodies. It's something where yes, it does portray our emotions, but also if it can be something that changes our emotions, if you know what I mean.
Yes. When I I don't know if you are aware of it, maybe we talked about it before, but I have PTSD. Sometimes I have like traumatic memory coming back and I have like panic attack, very violent anxiety attack. And it happened last night and I was with my partner, so I put my replacement behavior. I try to use them, and I use music. I have a specific playlist that I use when I am having a panic attack that help me getting back to a calmer place, to a much more serene headspace that tell me it's okay. So yeah, I totally understand that. I need to focus to the rhythm and just dance with myself, listening to that music and getting back into myself, into my own skin. So you are totally making sense.
Yeah, for a moment, just um, being able to enjoy the moment, and to an extent, sometimes an easy thing to do and a trap that I fall into is just watching a couple of episodes of a TV show. And but when we are singing together, it is such a joyous thing, and so maybe that is something that I should do more often and enjoy it. Yeah, singing, it's a brilliant thing. And so, Xate, because Xate is Will Cook for Board Games' his real name. Well, what do you like? So Xate says, glad to be back. Missed being live yesterday, but I did watch it back. And yes, yesterday we had Catherine Morgan on, all about their excellent edible dice, which was quite cool. And pe- people who see a need someone else has and meets it are brilliant. That is amazing. So yeah, someone who sees that someone else needs something and then you try and go for it, because Xate is saying that there's someone who didn't really want to meet because maybe they felt uncomfortable meeting, but because Xate had a need to get to the supermarket and was really struggling to walk there, then basically this guy offered them a ride. So that was awesome.
Yes,
And I'm
I read
really
that.
happy.
This is awesome.
And Alan Outson suggests that it could be also called a Bezzy Brizert board game blethering. Now, moving on to the recent highlights, which that sounds like a recent highlight for you, Xate, but feel free to share more. And also games that we've been playing. And as always, if you're in the comments, do feel free to share any and all highlights and games you've been playing. So, first of all, daily highlights, listening to music and seeing the
Seeing the side.
sights. Daily highlights.
Recent highlight. Yes.
Oh yeah, recent highlights. I'm sorry, I'm singing the.
It's it's
Oh,
okay. You're allowed to change the song. You're allowed to change the lyric of the songs.
thank you very much. I appreciate your. Sometimes it's funny how we need permission even though we shouldn't need it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like back when I was, like I keep telling this story, but before in a bind was in a bind, let alone yogi, and yeah, it was like this game about passing cards to everyone, and then someone said, "Oh, if there's this one card where you need to stand up, if you want to do that, you should make this the game." And that permission allowed me to do it. And morning, Alex. It's lovely to see you at Quasulis. And morning, Elaine. It's lovely to see you. And we're just talking about the recent highlights, which for me, I'm going to say is the Dave Gorman videos. My other recent highlights is that I did a good bit of looping yesterday, and I touched my feet, that side, so that's about 72, 144 times. I can't do it whilst it's spinning on the right way so easily, but I'm going to be, yeah, working on my looping, and for me, those are recent highlights. Do you have any recent highlights,
Uh,
LolV?
yes. As I said yesterday, my partner my fiance was there, and we had a very important and deep conversation. It was brief, but very important and deep. And she was there, and even if she didn't know to handle, for example, my PTSD attack, she stayed there.
Oh,
She asked, "Can I do something? Or do you need me to leave you alone while you do sing?" And for me, it's everything because it's really an highlight because 1 year ago we were on the verge of a breakup, and we are getting slowly completely back together, finding ourselves, ourselves.
Aw.
Oh, we are on our own. We are finding ourselves as. Oh no, I don't have a connection anymore. You
Oh
don't
no, I
see
can
me.
see you. I can still hear you.
Okay, perfect. I have very low connection here. Very bad Wi-Fi. Yeah. So I mean, we are both finding who we are on our own, but also since we have found so much about ourselves living on our own, we are able now to be back with each other and to take care of each other in a better way. And that's really, it's a recent highlight for me because it's the sum of 1 year of work, 1 year of anger and frustration and patience and compassion and compassion, all of this, and jealousy, of course, all of this complicated feeling are now blooming in something that is much more healthier and safer. And I'm just so happy about that.
Aw.
I'm just so happy that we could have a brief conversation when she said something insensitive, and I snap back because it was insensitive, and then I said, "No, it's a joke because I'm a people pleaser," and then I realized I. She said it's not a joke, and I said yes, it was very insensitive, and you hurt me. And she said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't realize it was insensitive." And I said, "Okay, I forgive you." And I realized I need to be vulnerable and and say when someone shares something that hurt me, I need to tell it to them, even if it make me vulnerable, especially with my fiance. I mean, so yeah, it's a long story, but it was really a recent highlight. So yeah, everybody on your stream know my love life now. Hey people, I hope you are not uncomfortable. Hey.
No, I think that people have been saying that that's super lovely and giving you lots of love. I think it's
Oh,
really
really?
affirming to see that people are coming together and yeah, just to make you uncomfortable. Xates is telling you that they are getting divorced, and
Oh,
yeah, it's for us.
take care.
But yeah, I think that relationships, whether it is a partner or a friendship, whatever relationships you have in your life, I think it's super important. And it's so important what you talked about, LolV, about communicating and being honest and being able to express yourself. We've got a few other things. Oh, Elaine asked what the Dave Gorman videos were, and I put up a comment everywhere to explain that. Um, we've got, yeah, Xates, who's giving so many highlights. Cheesecake and patchwork pizza, which sounds amazing. And I'm looking forward to seeing that filming because, I think it's Patchwork Doodle is the roll and write version, and then making this in pizza form. That is so amazing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that and um, all the kinds of relationships and friendships that are forming. Alan Outson managed to get to elite level on backgammon in Boardgame Arena, so that's a small achievement. And yeah, that is all the recent highlights that we've got. Moving on to games. What have we been playing? What are their names? So we've already got Xates, who's been talking about Patchwork Doodle in pizza formats. That sounds amazing. And please feel free. I don't know, is a video of that already up on the internet? If so, definitely feel free to share it. Yeah, what did I play? I don't think I actually played. Oh, wait, I did take some turns. I made some moves on Crazy Farmers, which I'm really enjoying in two-player mode. I'm playing it with Alan Outson and also Robin David. Do you know this game, Crazy Farmers and the Clote Electrics? It's
No,
all
I'm
good.
sorry.
Let me look it up on Crazy Farmer. I will bring up this Kickstarter screen, which has already finished. Oops, that is not the screen I meant. Crazy Farmers and the Clue to Electrics. So it's kind of, the title is a mixture of English and French because that is how crazy it is. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yes, I heard about it before. I heard about it before. You talked about it before in the show. I remember.
okay, well, I'll just let that play. I'm having lots of fun with that. Um, yeah, for me, that's it. And I also did a little bit of work. I was watching Mina play my own game, Puzzle, which for me, I've had a lot of chats with people, well, about with one person basically, talking about, okay, is this actually the best format of the game? So just to say, Crazy Farmers and the Closer Electrics, you're going ground and making fences. It's kind of like that old video game Kicks, and you're getting on other people's ways. And they've got some really cool animation like that. But yeah, doing a bit of puzzle, game development, blind testing, and totally changed a lot of the rule sheet yesterday to make it simpler for people to understand, hopefully. And that was as close as I got to actually playing games in real life. What about you, LolV? Have you played any games recently?
Yes, in France we are able to meet each other and social distance. So I meet with 3 friends, and we did a party of Mysterium. We did other game too, but I was the ghost in Mysterium, so I liked it. I really liked that game, and I really like being the ghost and distributing the cards. R- just watching the player deciphering. Is
Hmm.
LolV being symbolic right now, or are they trying to make a reference to my card literally, or are they playing on colors? And seeing my friend like trying to decipher what am I aiming for as a ghost. It's really interesting, and we always do a bit of role play, so it's really it's really cool. We also played I don't remember the exact name, but Explosive Kitten.
Okay, yep.
It's
Exploding
it's a
Kittens, the big
it's a
one with the red box. Yep.
I think so. Yes, it's a card game when you just draw a card in a circle, and at some point, kitten whom are explosive are going to show up, and you need to disarm the kitten to not blow up, or to redirect it to toward another player, and of course the other player can stop you from doing that. And so it's as much a fight against the card as against the other player who wants you to meet your doom first. Oh yeah, it was
I,
it was very cool. We had a
I
lot of
remember
fun.
playing that against my friend Maquette, and I know there's a lot of denigration for exploding kittens in the hobbyist board game community because it's like, oh, that's that big popular game from the oatmeal. And yes, there's maybe a bit of envy. It's certainly a simple game. And if you are looking for deep strategic complex games, this is never going to be the game for you. But actually, what the game does, which is basically Russian roulette, the card game, it is, there's a lot of tension every time you draw a card when you don't have the diffuse card. And it's like, okay, if I draw the wrong card, it's going to cause me to lose. And so there are moments of tension. And yes, there's a lot of randomness, but there is definitely also a lot of joy to be had in that game.
Yes, to put a bit of context, when we were all very tired, so we did a big party of a big campaign of Mysterium, and then we realized we were in no shape to do another board game that take a lot of mind spoon, and so Explosive Kitten was perfect for us at that moment, and we had a lot of fun. So I think I'm someone who loves deep strategic game. I love them, but also I'm all for a bit of fun that is mindless, because sometimes you are just so tired. Or I'm playing a lot with teenager. and some teenagers don't want to play Seven Wonders. They're like, oh no, too many rules. You mean there are card and there is a phase of where we need to exchange the card. No, it's too much. Let's play a funny game, very simple with a few rules that will take us 10 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes you want that, and we've got Xate says they weren't such a fan of Exploding Kittens, but if they do enjoy some light cat games, which might be a bit more cataclysmic. So thank you for that.
Cataclysmic.
Shouts out. Xate's also played Orleans, Yggdrasil, and oh wow, 7 L games that are not yet public. So that's quite exciting to hear. Alan Outson's already also been taking some turns, funnily enough, on the same game that I'm playing against them. And I say against, maybe that shows how competitive we are. I should say with really. And I am thrashing, or Alan Outson says threshing. And yeah, the thing about playing a game, if you make a mistake and then you prefer the version that you get wrong, then I think give the intended version a go, play it, like, do try to understand why those choices were made, and I can have a conversation with you about why I made those choices. But basically, yeah, the versions that you said, just in the same way that with real traditional cards, there's many games that are solitaire patience, those kinds of games. Maybe there can be another L deck game down the line, which is all solitaire patience. Okay, so that is the end of all those things. And so now I think it's time for our main topic, and hopefully nobody is sick.
Yay!
That's not a great song. I don't know. Oh, hello. Main topic, and here is Nick. Hey,
Yay!
thank you, Nick, for rhyming with topic. That is brilliant. Okay, so and yeah, this is always a balance between. I don't know if it's even a balance. If you're playtesting, you should be prepared that any constructive criticism is good. It's not like your ego should not ideally be invested in the board game or the medium. Like if someone criticizes your painting, I guess it's also, is the person looking for feedback? Because I mean, I don't go in and just see someone's game and say, hey, these are the things that are wrong with it. But if the person is looking for feedback, if the person is making a board game and they're saying, hey, I'm interested in getting your feedback, this is a playtest, then at that point, I think it's actually being kind to give them all the criticisms that you can, as long as you are specific and constructive. So,
yes.
yeah, that is the end of. No, it was. Oh, so that is the end of that, and we are now onto the main topic. So, a couple of very quick, questionably quick questions.
Yes.
Okay. So, firstly, where do you work?
I work in a ludothèque called Ludomonde. It's in a city hall, which is called the Akari Hall. It's actually very little. Like city hall is a term that make it look like it's a huge place, but it's a little place. It just I don't have another word like.
Remind
And I
me the
also
city.
work to the. I set up a ludothèque at the middle school, which is called Collège Jean-Pierre Vernant.
And can you remind us the city wherein you live?
I live in Toulouse. It's a city South France. It's really like one and a half an hour from Spain. So it's, and for people who know Paris, it's 7 to 10 hours from Paris. So yeah, I'm really closer to Spain than to the Eiffel Tower.
Wow. Do you live near water?
Yes, there is a river just around the corner, and there is a big river in Toulouse which is called the Garonne. La
And
Garonne, yes,
when was
yes,
the
this
last
one.
time you went outside?
Yesterday with my fiance we did a bit of roller skating, and I find a shortcut between her house and mine, so I wanted to show her that shortcut.
And what is the last meal you had?
I had a big smoothie this morning,
Okay, so
and a mochi that I eat during the show. Here is the paper of my mochi that I eat during when we were talking. I was munching my mochi, trying to be discreet.
so let's get stuck. Oh, Elaine is asking, what is in the mochi?
It was tea paste, green tea paste, very very yummy. A bit bitter,
Mm.
but I like bitter thing. Sweet bitter.
Apparently, when you go Paris to Barcelona, Toulouse is something near Narbonne.
Yes,
Narbonne?
Narbonne. Narbonne is just 1 hour from Toulouse. I used to go there for my archaeological studies. So yeah, it's really just around.
And we've got lots of love for mochi. Yeah, I love mochi and
Yes,
red bean, both, you know, that savory kind of slight sweetness. It feels quite, and yeah, I don't know what
I love
to
red
record
bean.
it as.
I
Um,
love red bean too. Mm. Yeah, yes, there is peanut butter and sesame and cherry blossom and taro. There are a lot of mochi flavor. A lot of them.
and just for those who don't know what mochi is, it kind of it's like that. It's squishy and then it's got gooey things in the middle, and that is lovely. So hopefully that. So let's get into Ludotech. What is a
Yes.
Ludotech?
A ludotech is. We talked about that last time, but yes, a
Yes,
ludotech is
you
a
know, for those
ludotech.
people who weren't here 2 weeks ago, maybe not
Yes,
everyone.
yes. Let's not gatekeep the knowledge on ludotech to those lovely people. Ludotech is a place similar to a library where you can borrow game and you can come there to play game. Most
Mm.
library in France, the big one, have transitioned to the status of mediathèque. So in the library you can borrow a book, but also sometimes borrow musical instruments, CD, DVD, audio tape, lot of things. And more recently you can borrow games, so sometimes video game, but most of the time board games.
Mm.
And also, as you can also just come to the library and chill and read your book or do your research there, you can also sit together and play a board game in a specific style of a mediathèque. But a
So
ludothèque, yeah, a ludothèque is a place specifically designed to play game. It's a board game library.
So, what's the distinction between a ludothèque and a board game cafe? It feels like there's kind of a fuzzy line.
But most board game coffee places are private. They are company, and where the ludothèque sometimes are funded by the city in our case, or a non-profit association. My ludothèque and my coworker ludothèque are both from our non-profit association, and we receive fund and money from the state and from the city, because we are doing social work. Actually, we are making people in the neighborhood meet each other and connect to one another through game, and we are also working with some teenagers who have social issues or issues with schoolwork, and games are giving them a purpose sometimes. Game is a wonderful way to teaching. Like we believe so much in edu gaming, so I think that's the differences. Also, the non-profit associations that do uh, make board game coffee or board game bar, but it's not exactly the same because we are open all year around. And I'm not working at this moment, but my coworker are at working today.
So Nick Butler says that it seems like France has a culture that expects social experiences like games to be as acceptable in a cafe as reading a paper is here in England. Would you agree with
Yes,
that?
yes, there are actually a lot of coffee shops that offer to play game in the coffee shop, and they are not even a coffee shop specifically designed to be game coffee shop, game coffee. So
Hmm.
it's really, at least in Toulouse, it's really interesting. We have I told it last time, but we have at least 4 board game cafe in Toulouse, and that doesn't take into account the coffee shop and pubs that also offer to people to play games. But yes, go
I
ahead.
mean, having said that, so lots of board game cafe and type places. So when I've got a very limited experience with this in France. I mean, I've been to where have I been in the past couple of years? I've been to Cannes, which is basically
Yes.
a very touristy spot, I think. It's for either tourists or very rich people who live there, is my
Mm-mm-mm.
impression. I've been to Avignon, which is
Yes.
very small. There are, I think, there was free places where I went to find. I was actually looking for board game cafe or somewhere to maybe play Magic the Gathering or something to join in with people to. But yeah, one of them was super, intense. They were super focused in what they were doing, and it didn't feel very accessible. The other one, it was more for people to come in together, which it did make me reflect on the fact that, yes, actually, in most board game cafes in the UK, it is a similar situation where you go in as a group and then
Yes.
you don't meet people in here. Would you say that that is a fundamental difference that in a ludothèque you are able to meet people, so it brings people together, strangers?
Yeah, I think that's the differences. One of the differences, because same in France, when you walk into a board game cafe, most of the time you are here to join your friend, and you don't go there uh, all by yourself expecting a bunch of strangers to welcome you at the table. Whether in the ludothèque we have a lot of uh, a lot of people who come alone and say, "Hey, I just come here and I wanna join someone already playing, or I wanna offer to other people to join me for that game." And that works just like that. So of course, at some point, people get to know one another and get to play together. But it's always, at least in the place I'm working, it's always very welcoming.
Mm.
Even sometimes in the middle school, the teenager we start a game and another teenager come by and is a little shy and like, can I join the game? And I'm like, yes, yes, you can take my spot and I will go play with another group. So here is my card. You can join the spot. Here is that person name, and have fun, guys. So yeah, I don't know if it's exactly the same everywhere, but at least in my city, whenever I've gone to another ludothèque, it was kind of like that. People were very welcoming and were asking new people to join them on game, and were willing to welcome stranger.
So, Sate says that makes the point that in a cafe it costs money to sit and play generally, and so maybe it's a bit more of a risk with strangers. And at the ludothèque, it's free events, or um, sometimes it's a small flat fee. I would not have expected that. Is it always free in the ludothèques in France, or
Well,
is
we
there
have
some?
we have game night who are free, totally free, and we welcome people who have already paid the ludothèque fee for the year, and people who come only for the game night sometime. For example, all the teenagers that attend or middle school can come from free for the game night because they are teenager and we don't expect them to pay anything to just come
Hmm.
by and play. The thing is, on my from my point of view, and I'm not someone who gain a lot of money. Like I'm under living wage in France, even while you're working two job, capitalism stuff. But we offer people to have access to the place, to have access to our game library, which is huge, for very very little money. It's actually not a lot, and the families they can come whenever they want, and they can borrow up to 3 game and keep those 3 game a month. But they can borrow the 3 game for 1 week and get back the next week and borrow other games. Also, we are very close to the people coming in the ludothèque, so they can suggest new game for us to buy, and we have a monthly budget. So every month we can decide how many new game we are going to buy for the ludothèque, and to try to find things that will maybe interest our public more, or things that have been suggested to us before.
So I
So
think
this is how it works.
there's a clear benefit to ludothèques. You can meet up with strangers, and it's either free or in the German model. Apparently, it's just €3 for an whole game night thing. Um, what I guess I don't want to get too bogged down here, but then the question becomes, why do board game cafes exist in this world where you can sit down and go to a ludothèque? Presumably, you could even go there with your friends if you wanted and sit down and play a game.
I can't really answer because I am not like all knowing, and I have no idea of the business world really work. But I think board game coffee still have still have uh, still have some qualities, like you can drink alcohol with your friend while you play and eat. While when you are in a ludothèque, most of the time, at least in ours, we are not drinking alcohol, or not most of the time we are not drinking alcohol while playing. And a board game cafe offers that kind of opportunity. It might not work for every country and population, but in France it's very alcohol, wine is a huge thing. Like it's very
Hmm.
important for people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people also are not aware that they have access to ludothèque for very very low prices. For very low prices, they might not be aware that for only a small fee, they can have access to a lot of game all the time. And I think people also enjoy the very very energetic uh, ambience, the very energetic surrendering environment of a board game cafe.
Hmm.
as
And
opposed to ludothèque or mediathèque, where people are more chill. Let's say it that way.
so you still have the kind of atmosphere of, okay, you're kind of in a library.
Well, sometimes because, for example, we sometimes on Wednesday afternoon we have a family. It's all public. It's everyone time. So we have little kids, but also family with a lot of children, teenager, older people. So that means we have a lot of different people together, and it's a small space. So that means everybody must keep a bit more calm. Also, we do not allow people to eat and play at the same time,
I
or
think
most of the time not, because crumbs, cards, tea spill on that beautiful cardboard game, and it's ruined.
okay, so it feels like the payment model, the organization that runs it, and the ability to consume food and drink and purchase food and drink at the location is basically what sets the two apart. And so
Yes.
we've covered the definition, and I
Also, we
think
are not open in the night. We are not open in the night. So if you are part of the working population and you work from 9 to 5, it's likely that the ludothèque will be closed when you get out of work.
mm,
And not all ludothèques are open during the weekend. Mine is, but not all, I believe. So it depends. It's
it's
not the
very
same population. Young people from 20 to 40, I think, will mostly frequent board game coffee, while people who have families, older people, or young teenager who can't go to a pub, for example, will go to a ludothèque. I think that, of course, there are a lot of exceptions, but
that makes a lot of sense. And Xates is saying that, I mean, Xates, I need to have you on to chat about this ludotech that you talk about, because
yes,
I'm sure there's a lot of differences between Germany and France, and maybe even having the two of you on at once to compare and contrast. Because the
yes.
ludotech in Leipzig is only open Wednesday and Fridays afternoons, except for special events. And so now let's talk about what's good about ludothèques. Um, yeah, what I mean from a, I guess if we accept that board games are good, and if we accept that we want to bring good things to people, then it makes absolute perfect sense. Okay, we're bringing board games to people, so yeah, therefore ludothèques are good. Is there more to it than that?
For me, it's really interesting because it brings people together. I remember last year we had during one morning, which was strictly children under the age of 5 morning. We have three days that are like that, 3 morning like that, with specifically children under the age of 5 and the family. There were two mothers who were very isolated, and one was coming from Scotland, and she spoke very little French, and a child, of course, speak a bit more French because his father was French, but she had trouble adjusting because French is a complicated language, and she had just moved from Scotland. And there was another mother who was a bit isolated because she had just moved here, but she was French and she was an English teacher. And it was such a lovely moment. At some point, the children get to play together, and so they come to me because we were talking, and I said, "Hey, you're actually an English teacher, and you are from Scotland, and you speak English most of the time." And it was such a lovely moment to see them connect and just realize, oh, I'm not alone, and I finally find someone in my neighborhood, because ludothèque are neighborhood based most of the time. So the people who frequent the ludothèque are the neighbors, and that moment when they realize they have they have each of them have found a friend, and they were not alone anymore. And I think ludothèque is very good for that, because board game bring people together, and sometimes it bring people together who are unlikely to meet. But I'm a very hopeful person, so I'm like, yeah, they're likely to build friendships that will last for life. And I saw very secluded, very skittish teenager bloom because they play game every week with people older than them and have that kind of unlikely friendship with adults where they learn a lot. And
Oh,
it's amazing.
yeah, I think you make a really good point about not just bringing games to people, but having people congregate around those games because of the social experience changes the dynamic so much. Because if I go to a library, maybe I'm borrowing a comic book, or maybe I'm borrowing a book, like I'm getting some happiness, maybe, or some information, or some extra world experience from reading this, which is a valuable thing to growing me as a person. But then, if I were to go to a ludothèque, which does not exist in the UK, and I were to play this thing with some other people, then we would, yeah, not only enjoy this thing and be having maybe a happy time, or even learning about things, or improving ourselves as a person by practicing strategy and stuff, but we would also improve ourselves by coming together as a community. Exactly as you said, it's such a important thing. Um, Sate asks about well, makes the point that some ludothèques, especially the one in Leipzig in Germany, is sadly on the outskirts of the city, and so it's a little bit hard to get to if you don't have a car. Um,
Yeah.
Depending on how fit and able you are with your legs and bicycle or whatever, I guess. But I wanted to ask, so at the Ludotech, you go in and then you can play the games there, or you can borrow the games as well. Is that something you can do?
Yes, you can do both. You can come for some hour and play, and then later say, "Hey, I want to borrow that game I just played with," or "I want to borrow other game." So both are a possibility, and you can do whatever you want.
And presumably it's like a typical library that you need to bring it back in, I don't know, a couple of weeks.
Yes, most of the time is 3 weeks or 1 month, and that
Uh,
remind me I need to get back to get back to my my work and
do you have late fees if you don't?
yes, I no. Sometimes people are forbidden to borrow game for 1 week. It's I don't know how it work in the other board game library. I mean ludothèque. In the city ludothèque, like the one who are public, who are not like non-profit association, I believe you have to pay a fee, probably a very small fee. Sometimes it's a few pound, like less than euro by a day. But when it comes to the place I work, we only forbid people to borrow game for 1 week. And also we are very understanding because most of the people who borrow a lot of game are people with a big family, and sometimes they have like they're a bit late. But it is if it's 1 or 2 day late, it's okay. We are like, yeah, no, don't bother. You can borrow as much game as you want. It's okay.
Seats is saying that generally they can borrow normal people can borrow 4 games for 1 month at a time. What's the restrictions in the Toulouse ludothèque?
It depends on the ludothèque, but in the place I work, it's 3 games, 3 weeks to 1 month, and I am on the same regulations that the people who come in the ludothèque. Same regulation as the public. I can borrow 3 games for 1 month.
So I think
I need to send. I need to send terraforming Mars back. That was what I was trying to say. I've been keeping it for 3 weeks. I need to to let it go now. I don't want, but it's time.
I'm with Xate that it's taking people's stories into consideration and kind of banning people for a week, which feels a lot kinder than, oh my god, I had this thing where I've got to bring this back and now I've got to pay it back. Now I'm kind of, and I can never borrow something again until I've paid off this crazy fine because, to be honest, there is no. Yeah, I'm just not a good person for interacting with the UK library system, if I'm being honest, because it's a set fee per thing, but then yes, at a certain point, if you're like, okay, I've got these things and I held on to them, and yep, you kind of keep something for way too long, but let's not get stuck into that. So, what are some mistakes that ludothèques can make, or some issues, and how can you kind of solve them? We do have Sage, who does it. This isn't really a pitfall, just as much as a reality check and an advantage of a board game cafe, because presumably the board game cafe wants to get all the new games, all the hot and shiny games, so people can come in and are attracted to it. But maybe a ludothèque doesn't have all the latest games. Is that a fair thing to say?
Not exactly, because as I said, we have a monthly budget. So every month we get to buy a new game, but we have to make choice because we don't have that much money to spend on new games or toy, because we need to. The thing is, we need to please a lot of different publics. So, or we need to have a library that is a stock that is appealing to both very small children who want toys, who want plushies, who want sensory device. But we also need to please the adult who might want to play adult and teenager who might want to play strategic games. We might want to appeal to people who want to play party games like Uno and Crazy Cups and stuff like that. And Twister. So yeah, we have all those different games, and we need to keep balance between all of those things. So it's really it changes from time to time. We also sometimes receive donation from game shops who have like a game, but that game have a small error in the spelling and they don't want to keep it, and so they're like, hey, you are a loyal client, have that game for your ludothèque. We have been receiving donations sometimes from the neighborhood, but we don't keep it. We organize a lottery, and with the people, the public come and they can win a game in the lottery. And I think a big pitfall still is accessibility. Recently this year we had a gathering of all the ludothèques in Toulouse. So all the people like me who work in in the game library, and someone said, when we were talking about, we could make our ludothèque more accessible, someone said, I don't need to make my ludothèque accessible. I don't have any disabled people coming in. And I thought, yes, because your ludothèque is not accessible, no disabled person approach your ludothèque to play games, but it's a very, very heavy misconception to think disabled people don't want to play games. They want to. They want to play games also. They have the exact same needs that able people to cater, and playing game and having fun is part of their needs. And we need to be able to fuel those needs. I'm a bit emotional about that, because I was the only disabled person in the room, and she said that, and I find it was very insensitive from an experienced ludothecaire, and also a very mindless thing to say, because of course you don't see the people coming in if your place is not accessible. No one with a disability, if your place is not can welcome people in a wheelchair, we won't see anybody in a wheelchair come. You won't see any wheelchair user come, but actually they probably want to play games still. So it's not like the major pitfall, because a lot of ludothèques try to work around that, try to appeal to the disability community, and it's a huge question, because its community is very diverse. People who suffer like me from chronic fatigue and chronic illness, and I have autism, so I have sensory issues. I don't have the same need as a blind or person who don't see well, and they don't have the same need as a wheelchair user. So it's a large and complicated question. It's not a surprise that we have trouble to resolve that question, to answer it in an healthy and compassionate matter. But I was very shocked by this person saying, there's no disabled person playing game, basically, in my ludothèque. Yes, because they don't feel welcome. For them to be there, you have to say, hey, we cater for every kind of public, and that includes the disabled community.
And
so I think it's a pitfall, yes. No, go ahead.
No, so Nick says that they have 3 rules. I'm actually curious to know what the other 2 rules are. The second rule is that it has to be accessible to anyone who's using wheels. So you need ramps, and everything needs to be accessible. I'm curious to hear what your other 2 personal rules are. Elaine says, the more welcoming you make the space to different people, the more different people you will have. And exactly as you said. Moving slightly on, Sate says, you mentioned your ludothèque work being also tied to social work. Is that more your personal focus rather than the ludothèque in general?
It's part of the ludothecaire function to be able to do some social work, because we listen to people, and all the public ludothèques are tied to Lacave. It's a French governmental association that cater to people in need. For example, since I'm earning under the living wage, every month Lacave send me a bit of money, because I'm part of the working population, and it's not fair that as part of the working population I'm not even earning the living wage. So, and Lacave give every French citizen and family a number, and this number is put into the system, and the system calculates what is exactly you need. And when we welcome someone in the ludothèque, we get that number in our system, and we can see how much the person must pay for the fee. And sometimes it's okay, you are so above, you are so under the living wage that you are not paying anything to be part of the ludothèque. And that's what's beautiful about it. It's that if you are not earning a lot of money, you won't have to pay a lot of money to be there. So one of the issues though is that, and it's a big pitfall, it's the same as accessibility, it's diversity. A lot of people think games are not for them, and it's not true. I mean, every person must have a game that works for them, but if they don't know that game is for them, they won't come. Or if they think it's a lot of money and it's an expensive service, they won't come. And so that means that we can have a lack of diversity in ludothèque. I don't feel it's the case in the place where I work, because there are a lot of different people, but I think we still need to have a better communication about the fact that everybody is welcome. And I think it's very important that the ludothèques are put their own differences on the forefront as public figure. For example, I always say, hey, I'm part of the LGBT community and I'm disabled. So the neighbor who come in the ludothèque realize, oh, maybe LolV is the only LGBT people we know, but we realize they are a cool person and they play game with us and they are fun. Therefore, we realize LGBT people are cool, but also they can say to their homosexual, neighbor, like, hey, guys, come with us next time. It's a ludothèque that is inclusive for LGBT people. So we still have a lack on communication about that, but I think it's complicated to address this thing.
I mean, I think there's a lot of things, and accessibility is such an important thing in every facet of our lives. And there's a real need to include everyone around us, like, in all these things. I mean, obviously we have to be intolerant of intolerance. It's that paradox where, in order to have a welcoming space, you have to be intolerant of intolerance. And Nick kind of going through the other rules, that the location, it has to be accessible to someone using a bike, and rule 3, it shouldn't involve anyone that might leave someone feeling uncomfortable. And I think that speaks to the intolerance of intolerance. And we've got some great comments, and just for the people who are watching this after the fact, because I like to leave these up on YouTube, I really love what you're saying. Having wider spaces, chairs, and an accessible bathroom can be the difference between going home exhausted or invigorated. And another thing that, yes, these people are making considerations where XATE doesn't have any wage right now, so their job is just to go around at any conventions or at asking for demo games to be donated, which just asking is their job, because XATE is someone who really works hard and makes it work, and works for a variety of publishers to come home with a tiny bit of extra money in their bank account. Because, if you go to somewhere, yes, it is again invigorating, and hopefully the publishers that you're working for. But I wanted to touch upon quickly, because we've already passed it's already gone 11 o'clock.
I'm so talkative. I'm
no,
sorry.
No. Sometimes people will tell you this has I don't know how long the longest one is, but There's been times when it's gone to like past or 11:40
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, yesterday I looked at Calvin, and it was 40 minutes past 1 hour, like 1 hour and 47 minutes of talk.
Yeah, I think that was
It
probably the
was very
longest one.
interesting. It was very interesting. I really loved it. Ah,
I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, if we can put a pin in it and come back to it, that's always worth doing. I don't think we've got over 2 hours for a morning thing. We've had over 2 hours for evening things, but not for a morning thing. And thank you um, for the shout outs, and I hope that are being enjoyed. Um, and yeah, genuinely, there is a limit to what I can do, but these are things that I would personally like to do to support. So not right now because I don't have enough stock to even sell it to shops. But once I've reprinted the LDEC and Kitty Cataclysm, um, oh, I don't believe this, Alan. You'll have to link me to the video. Anyway, so what I wanted to ask you about was, do you have to think carefully about the games you choose? Because, there's a lot of games that have bad representation. Obviously, there are some egregious examples of the um, chainmail bikini and things like that. And there's definitely some subject matter that it's like, hey, wait a minute, this is almost trivializing these subjects. Who has this sort of editorial control over what goes into
uh,
a ludothek?
the three of us, the three colleagues, the three co-workers that manage the money. I mean, my manager pay for the game, but he includes the two of us, the two of the co-worker in the process of choosing game. It's important to say it's an old board game library. We've been open since '84. The
Mm, wow.
association has been founded in '84, and the board game library. Some of the game are from back then. So of course we have old games that enhance and share sexist belief, racist stereotype, and stuff like that. But right now, we are trying to choose new game, and also we don't have to abide by those old game. We can up. I take that game and I won't put it in the trash, but I will put it in the cave. Goodbye, game. You are actually. How do we say that? You are punished. See you later. So
Oh.
yeah, we are trying to change. We we change the stock every now and then with game we have in the cave to make sure that our clients have access to diversity, but also we are trying to be more careful in what we promote. And I'm sure that's the case of a lot of ludothek because we are aware that our work is as much someone who is a facilitator. A ludothecaire is as much a facilitator as, in my eyes, a social worker. Someone who holds that space and makes sure that space is welcoming for every community.
Mm.
But yes, we still lack diversity in the ludothecaire. It's there is a lot of women. That is good. Like I mean, there are a lot of people who have been assignated female at birth. I think we still lack LGBT representation, and we don't have a lot of people of color. We have some, but not a lot. So I hope in the year to come, all those different communities can come together and be ludothecaire, so we can cater to every community and be more inclusive and more welcoming. Because games are good.
Yay.
Everybody should play game.
Well, should is a strong word, but yeah, I think
Can if they want.
so. Yeah, that it's been a really good chat. I feel like we could have another long chat about curation of games, because the whole system of caving it and bringing it out and curation of what is suitable for your audience, these are all really deep questions
Yes.
that I think it's worth getting into. And absolutely, I would love to facilitate a conversation between yourself and Xate, or
Yes.
indeed, if Xate is able to get someone else from the Ludotech on, indeed, we could make it a four-way conversation. That would be amazing. But
Yes.
I think, to recap, we've said, okay, these are the places where you borrow games. It's different from a board game cafe in that, firstly, it's not generally open in the evening, and also you don't generally have food and stuff available to you, and some people also just prefer the more wild, loud, energetic atmosphere of a board game cafe. It can be a great thing because it brings people together, and it gives it's fundamentally, it's all about accessibility. Offering people something that they wouldn't have the financial resources to necessarily be able to take part in otherwise. But that same accessibility, there are challenges in making sure that it is truly accessible to everyone and making sure that it caters to everyone. Um, this is I'm happy to open it up to any questions from the audience. If we have any quick questions that we can deal in the next few minutes. And do, 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 do. Just to, yeah, I guess, let me double check. Oh, yeah, everyone, Alan Outson says that, yep, that is actually true. Let me, on, if I was actually looking at this on YouTube, so if I look at my YouTube, um, yeah, that was my longest ever stream was with Colvin, and then the next day I talked about the L deck, and of course I have a lot to say about it. So it went on over 2 hours and 55 minutes. But no, I prefer it when you ask your questions in the middle. That's always nicer. But it's just, I want to give people the option the reminder to ask questions if they have something that it's like, oh my god, this is like your last chance until
Yeah.
LolV hopefully comes back on again in, if you are up for that.
Yeah.
In a
Yes, I'm
weeks.
up for that. So you gave me a task before the stream, and I've tried to complete it, and I've checked my Facebook, but apparently my computer had not downloaded the link. So if you want to, I'll have to download it again after, because I've tried and my Wi-Fi is so low, my connection is so low that it have decided to not publish the link. I'm sorry. I
It's
really
all
tried
good.
to do it several times during the show. That was why I was looking like that in the void, trying to rework it, but it's still not working.
It's genuinely all good. Um,
Okay, I'm
and
relieved.
I just saw this wee comment. I'm just going through stuff. Do, 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 do. And so, yeah, basically, I just want to say I've wrapped up and recapped, and thank you to everyone. Um, so, Nick Butler says, yeah, this is really lovely to hear. I'm really appreciative to do that. Yeah, you do get LolV again. Oh, the link was just to share the thing because I was hoping that more people on my Facebook and LolV's Facebook would be joining in. Oh, we've had a
I
lovely.
have a friend. I have a friend who joined since he saw me last time. He have joined because he want to be a board game creator. So he's like, yes, actually a live stream show talking about board game by an actual board game creator. Yes,
And tell
he
them
was
that
very
I'm
happy.
happy to take things. And we've got a bunch of we've got some love for you, LolV, and
Everybody love my accent. nobody understands the amount of work I put to conceal and cancel that freaking French accent. And everybody's like, oh, your accent is so lovely. Thank you. I'm trying to make it disappear. And I can't. But thank you. I will keep it. I will keep that in mind. Thank you, Will Cook. You're a lovely person. Okay. Thank you, Nick.
So
I don't believe you, but thank you.
okay, so wait, that's maybe I'm doing it all out of thing. I should thank you, basically, everyone who has been watching along. Xate, Alex, Alan, Elaine, Nick. I mean, yeah, when you say that this is a lovely space, it's all thanks to the people who keep coming. And yeah, thank you, Alan, who's been here since the start, and Xate, who have made my 2 moderators, and my lovely friend from Thailand, Jess, who is, you know, possibly one of my best friends. I mean, definitely one of my best friends. I'm not going to say my best friend because I don't like, to say one single person, but definitely Jess, and if you are watching this after the show, hi Jess. And then
Hi, Jess.
So yeah, and yeah, thank you everyone. So that's for and we've got it's thank you for making this a positive space. When I first started, just to let you know, like it's unavoidable. You're going to have some idiots, some trolls, like at the start. And the first time that it happened, it was incredibly upsetting. Since then, it's like, okay, these people are idiots, and it doesn't cause me that much emotional grief, to block them and then delete them. And it's important to remember to block before you delete, by the way, because if you delete, then sometimes you can't block, if you know what I mean, because if you delete it, then you can't block the person. But I think I've only had like 6 or 7 horrible people that I've had to block and delete over, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So that's actually
I'm sorry
not.
to hear that.
I mean, it would be nice if it was 0, obviously, but this is now the 81st daily show, which is quite a lot. And like I've been doing it 2 or 3 times a week since March, so it's not actually that much. It's like, again, it would be nice if it just wasn't happening at all, but yeah, I appreciate all of you who are kind of keeping this positive thing. And wait, apparently Xate knows more about Twitch moderation than I do. Maybe it's also with Facebook stuff that I need to remember, because I see all the Facebook stuff pop up and the YouTube, I can delete it automatically from here. Oh, and hello, Ashley. It's lovely to see you again. So, thank you everyone for watching, everyone who's lurking, and just to wrap up, for a little bit of positivity, what are we looking forward to, and what are our hopes and ambitions? I want to invite everyone who's watching, as well as myself and LolV, to ponder this for a minute and just to share, what are you looking forward to? Some things are bad, some things are kind of good, some things are getting kind of better, but hopefully more things will be good. Okay, impromptu songs. So, what
I
are
love
we
that.
looking forward to? And Nick is looking forward to getting their technical hurdle with Cloudflare resolved. And they're still, oh no, I'm still hoping for Dragon Meet 2020. I don't know if I'm entirely on board with that, but I could get on board with something where it's at a. I mean, I don't know, Nick. I feel like realistically, Dragon Meets is just such a big convention. I feel like I any convention where it's. I mean, I really miss conventions, but I feel like it's just not going to be safe. I'm really sorry. And so, yeah, lots of love. But yeah, we've got a lot of love for Dragon Meet 2018, and say it still sleeps in the T-shirt they've got. Um, we've got people who are looking forward to doing playtesting. Sate is hoping to playtest Aquasulus into it, or some regular gaming, hopefully talking Alan out into it, or otherwise maybe lunch. And Alan is looking forward to playtesting their L game soon. And yeah, what myself, I am. Oof. I'm going to. Yeah, can you go first to LolV?
Yes, I can. Every day I've been drawing for 4 days. I've been drawing a friend in less than 10 minutes. So it's little chibi friend. I can show you if I find. Yes, like that.
Aw, that's cute.
In less than 10 minutes, I can show you someone you actually know. I drew Lauren.
Oh.
So I've been doing that every day for the last 4 days, and it's so amazing to have this little moment of creativity, and also a bit of challenge because I need to draw them in less than 10 minutes. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to my second playtest of thank you, Aquasulis. To my second playtest of True Colors, my game.
And if someone wanted to request to be cartooned by you, would that add too much pressure, or would you be happy to?
I think I would be happy, but I don't want people to feel self-conscious because I'm trying to keep up with actual proportion. I'm not being very realistic when I'm drawing, so it's more what I feel about the person, that's what they really look like. And I don't want people to feel like that I've been misrepresented, you see? But I would gladly cartoon anyone asking. It's so surprising for me because I'm not very skilled at drawing. I've only picked back my pens like one year ago. I picked back my pen, so it feels very, very tender to be able to be creative this day. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to the second playtest of my LARP game, True Colors, because we have done the first, and now we have a second playtest after I correct some of the game flaws. The game was full of flaws, of course, because it has just been created, and now we are making it better, and I'm so glad for that. I'm so glad for all the positive feedback that I get, and all the constructive criticism that I get when we did the first playtest.
Oh.
Yes, I had lovely players.
And that does sound like a good day and some good things to look forward to. And I love the idea of having this bit of self-expression. What I find is that when it's something that it's kind of, okay, this is an experiment, it doesn't really matter. And when I was drawing the cats, when I got into it, and I think you got one of the non-binary flag ones.
Yes.
And
I love it
it
so
was
much.
actually from James who suggested it. James was, hey, because I put in, do you have any special requests? And one person who is sometimes on this show, James K, said, hey, could you draw a flag maybe in either the pride colors or maybe a non-binary colors. And so I was like, okay, that's an interesting request. Well, I like the notion of just aesthetically four colors more than, it's a little bit easier, I guess. Um, and so then I was really chuffed with how they worked out, and having this, because I'd said on the Kickstarter, okay, it's only going to be, I think I said like 2 minutes or something. Okay, if it was like slightly, I didn't actually make sure that all of them were that thing. Like for some of the later ones, I said, okay, I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes to challenge myself, so to make sure that it's no more than that. But yeah, for some of them, if I wanted to, I let it be a little bit longer. But I felt like because I'd set expectations very low, there wasn't the pressure. And sometimes, yeah, it's nice to. I guess that's maybe, but it is kind of the self-governed thing. It's kind of sometimes, all too often, we once we once it becomes a routine, once it becomes something that we feel we have to do, once it becomes like a sense of obligation, it can remove the fun from it. And I think that that's probably like a deep conversation that someone should come to the show and talk about for like an hour, someone who's like an expert on that. Because I think these are the questions that really matter. Like, how can we retain the joy of making a game without it starting to feel like an obligation? How can we retain the joy of creativity? How can we retain the joy in all that we do? I mean, Elaine, I assume you are still watching, like, because you've done some amazing comedy stuff with no pun included. And Elaine, like, how do you maintain that joy? Because now that you've got the Patreon and no, it's Kickstarter. Like once you've got people actually financially backing you and it's like a job, then at what point do you kind of still maintain that thing? That would be, yeah. So, yeah, this is a really difficult question. But as for my daily hopes and ambitions, are to basically get more things put off the to-do list. And so I guess I should be specific. Today I am going to try to sort out some of the scheduling for Besday and also the designer publisher track of UK Games Expo. I am looking forward. This is incredibly sad to admit. I'm really struggling here because I'm not getting to see Kristen McCall today. I don't know. I mean, like, right now, I'm really struggling with this. I'm going to say, yeah, I am looking forward to Besday. I'm looking forward to having people on to playing in a bond, even though it's not today. I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, that is something. Yeah. So yeah, I would love you to come on. I would love you to really help. And we've got Alan Oughton who gives a suggestion of commitment without attachment. I really appreciate that, Xate. And on my to-do list, the most important things are just doing up the scheduling and basically doing the whole UK Games Expo thing. That's been the biggest headache ever, doing the forms. And it is a bit of a source of anxiety, if I'm being honest. But I am also looking forward to, who am I talking to tomorrow? Oh yeah, I'm getting to chat to Leanne Weaver. That is something that I am looking forward to, genuinely, because this is quite often the highlight, at least one of the highlights of my day. And it's been lovely having you on. So again, thank you everyone. Thank you very much. Most importantly, LolV. My next
Thank
streams.
you.
You too. um, Leanne Weaver from Boardgame, Trading and Chats UK, and also from the shop Fanboy Free. We're going to have a great conversation. Leanne is a lovely person. We have met in person in Wales, in Conway. I believe we've met twice now, like once each year there. Um, then playing games on Tuesday, Sally Jones, Phoebe. I need to type all this up. And it is lovely, lovely, lovely having you all along. And share this, spread the word. If you think that other people in your community would enjoy this, please share a link to tomorrow's stream or just to the Twitch or the Facebook page or the YouTube. Um, I should probably put. Oh, I just realised that I've been scrolling my links down there all the time. So the things that you could link to are you could talk about stuffbybez.com, which has links to my games and shop and stuff. Twitter.com/stuffbybez is where I post about just things that I'm generally doing, and I try to have my daily highlights. So to try to maintain that little bit of positivity. Instagram.com/stuffbez is a mixture of photos of projects and just pretty things that I've seen, like foxes and squirrels and flowers.
Oh,
Um, and then we've got my twitch.tv/stuffbez, where most of you are watching right now. That's the best place to watch. Facebook.com/thingsbybez. I have a YouTube channel, although I don't have a proper name yet. I think I need to get to a certain number of followers before I get to pick a name. Is that correct? Someone can let me know because I don't quite understand it. Facebook.com/thingsbybez and stuffbybez@gmail.com is that thing. And so, yes.
that's funny.
And I need to double check. Can you remind us of your Instagram, LolV, if people want to follow you all?
It's specifically sparkly, I think, but I've changed it recently. Let me try to find it. I don't remember my Instagram name.
I'm just looking it up. It is specifically sparkly.
Okay, I have thought about changing it maybe, so that means I had not yet changed it.
So if you want to see some more of LolV stuff. And so, just to say that for those who don't know, this is applause and agreement. And yeah, yay for squirrels. And but for the URL, can you actually have the URL with Will Cook for Board Games? But yeah, that is the end of our show, and there is only one thing left to do.
Song.
Bye, 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 bye. This is a bye-bye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very